Here we go. So today we're going to talk about 5 bits of advice I got from a Pro-2K gamer about a year ago that completely transformed my experience, particularly on Unlimited, but on other game modes as well. There were 5 really simple things that most of us wouldn't think about, but it's really what the pro gamers focus on. Before I get into all of that, guys, we are absolutely killing it on this channel. We've gone from 100 subs to over 300 in less than 2 weeks. That is amazing. Like, I cannot thank you guys enough. I know I keep saying it in every video, but it's so awesome to do this knowing that people are enjoying it and subscribing to it. Still 70% of people that watch these videos haven't subscribed. I appreciate you watching, but if you drop a sub as well, you'll help us build that momentum. When we get to 500 subs, I will do another giveaway of 200,000 VC. So look forward to that. But back to today's video. So I've obviously got series on how I went 12-0, you know, catch that if you need to. And there's a whole host of things across those 3 episodes that break down how an average player goes 12-0. And it's important to understand that I really am still an average player. And the 5 bits of advice that, you know, this guy gave me, I'm still learning and I'm still practicing. I'm still trying to get better at. The other thing that's important to understand is you can see I've got an 87% win record. Now that doesn't really do justice to the level I'm at. I've just had a really good season. Like last season, I didn't even get the 12-0 reward, and I think my win ratio was like 78% for most of that season. So it gives you a much better idea. This season, things are just going well, which I'm really happy about. We got Iggy and we've got all of that done, and I'm hoping next season it'll be better. But every time I sort of have a game, it really comes down to these 5 things that this person told me. So a bit of a backstory. I have a Facebook group. It's actually at the bottom. You can see it's at the bottom of the video. If you're looking for tips, tricks, and just an amazing community to kind of be involved in, that's a great Facebook group to join. Like, all the members in that group are really active. They're really positive. Like, we kick anyone out who's toxic immediately, so it's a really great space. But someone who joined that group is a 2K gamer called Notorious God. Now, you might know who he is. He's played in the global championships and things like that before. And he joined my Facebook group a year ago. I don't really know how it kind of came about because, you know, we were a nothing channel then. But he joined it. I could see in his profile picture he was a pro gamer, and obviously it was all 2K related. He had sort of 2K branding on, things like that. So I sent him a message on Facebook, and I was like, you know, what's your story? And he told me, he filled me in. He told me that, you know, he's a pro gamer and, you know, he's played in global championships and things like that. And then I started to look into him, and you could see how amazing he was at the game. He is that top 0.1% of players. Like, he doesn't lose, basically. That's who he is. So I asked him, you know, if you were me, you know, if you were getting into the game, my win ratio then was probably about 20%. Ratios didn't exist. This is March 2020, right? So that's when I started playing MyTeam. Win ratios didn't exist, but like, I'd probably get to like 3 wins on Unlimited and then 3 losses at the same time. Sometimes I'd get like 1 win and lose those 3 games. And I just wasn't very good at it. It's just as simple as that. And I said, what are the 5 pieces of advice you would give me to make me a better player? And this is what he put up. And as you can see, like, he sent me these messages. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward stuff. Like, this isn't sort of rocket science in any way, shape or form. But it did change everything for me. It really, like, very quickly, these bits of advice started to have an impact and improve my win ratios, make me a little bit better at the game, and really, more importantly, really helped me enjoy the game, like, way, way more than I was before. Because I liked the game, but I just wasn't good at it. And I'm not great at it now, but I'm better, and I definitely enjoy the game a lot more. So I just want to run you through these 5 tips that you gave me and explain them all, tell you exactly what they mean, and kind of how I've implemented them over the last sort of 9 months or so. So the first thing is rotations. You can see he says rotations are huge on this game on defense. Now, if you don't know what a rotation is, I've got a gameplay on in this video so you can see. And what it basically means is you can see me switching from one player to another, you know, trying to get into passing lanes, trying to play on-ball defense when I need to. Basically, it's about using the top right button on whatever console you're on to continuously bring up the icons and switch to a better player in order to kind of play better defense, to jump into a passing lane. So you're not always kind of playing man-on-man defense. And, you know, one of the things I used to do is I used to just paint sit with my center because I didn't know how to kind of get out and contest a shot or jump in a passing lane and get a steal. So on my 12-0 series, you'll see a really good breakdown, I think, of switching on defense, rotating, making sure you're bringing players out to sort of cover off any areas where you could be vulnerable, things like that. And probably the strongest thing about my game now is my defense. I get, you know, 10 steals a game probably on average, and a lot of those are 4 steals, particularly in passing lanes and things like that. And it's really been, you know, that alone probably added 20%. It made a huge difference. Like, honestly, it's probably added 20, 30% just on its own, just that one tip. Learn to rotate. Just make sure you're keeping your icons up. Make sure you're switching to players. Make sure you're not leaving anyone open. You know, I talk about baiting in that video as well. And what baiting means is like leaving a player open so your opponent thinks they're open, but they're not. So as soon as they make that pass, you're ready to jump that lane and take that steal. Also, it's about on ball as well and the right time to play that. And there are bad times to play it. You could leave yourself open, especially with a mismatch. But rotations, if you hear any pro gamer talk, you talk about Ty Debo, just anyone, you hear any pro gamer talk, and rotations is like the key that they talk about. Defensively, they just need to get the rotations right. It was fantastic advice, and it got me really far in this game. So the second thing, and you'll see this in this video, is corner threes are the best threes to take by far. Now, the majority of threes that I shoot are from the corner. When I say the majority, 80%. I'm a bad shooter, and you'll see this in this game. Like, I'm not a great shooter at all, but like a good game for me is probably 60%, but I've had games where I've shot like 25% from three. So I'm not a great shooter at the game, but those corner threes just change everything. They just make every shot a little bit more likely to go in, right? It's just the best shot to take. Even if you're contested, if you're open, whatever, if you can work open a corner three and focus on that, primarily as your three shooting strategy, you're just gonna hit more shots. So I play a lot of players who were like me that used to pull up, from half court, and try and hit a three from deep or whatever. And yeah, I play a lot of people that just, miss shot after shot after shot. And turnovers are so big in this game. They're so big that if you're putting up bad shots, and if you're not the best shooter in the world, or even if you think you are the best shooter in the world, maybe think like, are you actually hitting a percentage that's helping you win the game? Are you taking too many threes, things like that? But the best threes, without question, to take are corner threes. If I see someone open in the corner, I will always dish the ball to that person and take a shot. There's not another spot on the court where I would like see someone open and just guarantee to hit them for a three. But corners are just that. They just increase your percentage. It boosts your chances astronomically of that shot going in. Now the third thing he says is use your timeouts. Now this was huge as well because obviously again I've got videos on algo and things like that. Algo plays a huge part in 2K, in Unlimited in particular, and timeouts, when the algo is working against you, your opponent's making difficult shots, you're struggling to put anything, to score anything at all. That's what timeouts are actually there for. Like, that's why they exist. If you feel like the game's shifting a little bit, going the wrong way, and you need to kind of reset yourself, maybe reset the algo, also reset your opponent when they're going on a run. Maybe stop and think just tactically about what you could be doing different. What's the first thing I do on a timeout is I just think like about what's going on in the game, and sometimes I realize I'm just leaving people open running to the rim. That's why they're doing better. Or I'll realize they've hit the same shot from three times in a row, so I'll make sure I cover that off. Timeouts are there to not only give you a break, the timing of them is really, really important. If I'm going on a bad run, I will call a timeout always. It just has an effect every single time, and you might click back into the game and the algo's still there and you're still getting run over. Cool. Time to take another timeout. Again, that's why they're there. So not a lot of us use the timeouts probably as well as we should, or as often as we should. And a lot of them use them, overall glitching and things like that. You basically use your timeouts to refresh your players. Use your timeouts for the game as well. It's really important, and not a lot of people do them. I played so many games where no one takes the timeout for the entire game. I'll always take one or two minimum, just to reset the game if it's not going the way I want it to. So the fourth thing is to switch up defense. Now, there's two forms of defense I use, which are basically man-to-man and zone. Obviously, there's a lot of people I play that have started using full court press right now. I'm not a huge fan of full court press, and he does say to chuck it in now and then, but there are some people who are just amazing with it. Like, if you're good with full court press, if you can get back, if you can predict things, if you can jump the lanes, if you can do all of that stuff, then use full court press as well. But the key is to keep mixing up the defense. Now, when I say, rotations added 20-30% to my defense in terms of win ratio, I think this added at least another 10 or 20%. I'm constantly switching it up. I want my opponent to continuously change their game plan. Getting into a rhythm, like your opponent getting into a rhythm is often what runs you over, right? If they're just getting to the rim again and again and they're finding it easy, you have to change something. You're not just miraculously going to become better and that will stop happening and all of these different things. You've got to change something. So if my opponent's continuously hitting threes, especially from similar spots, I'll go to man-to-man. I'll make sure the defense is tight to stop that happening. If they're rim running, I'll go to the zone. And as soon as they switch their tactics and start having some level of success, I then switch my tactics as well, right? So if they're running the rim, I'm going to make sure I'm in a zone so we can close that off. As soon as they then switch to shooting threes, I'm going to switch to man and make sure we're closing that off and back again and back again. So a lot of people will kind of load up one set of defense, one set of defensive settings and all of these different things and just run that for the whole game. The problem is once your opponent's figured that out, there's nowhere really to go from there. Like you need to be able to adapt. And I'm much better at zone defense than I am at man-to-man. I struggle more with man-to-man defense, but if my opponent's just knocking down threes the whole game, I have to switch to man-to-man. Like staying in a zone is just suicide. Like, you know, you've got to change something. So the fifth thing, and this is really, really big as well. I mean, this is such a huge, huge thing. And I would say the majority of players who play 2K will benefit from this advice, right? And that is simply just to be patient. When I first started playing this game, it was like a race. You know, I had to get from one end of the court to the other and score as quickly as I can and get back again. Just every sort of possession that I had was just rushed. The quicker I play, I'll probably catch my opponent out and things like that. That's not the smart way to play this game. You've got 24 seconds to take a shot. You need to use those 24 seconds to take a shot. If nothing is good, like if there is nothing there that's a good shot that's available, just bail out of it. Keep passing the ball around. Use screens. Use different approaches. Like I said, my opponents, where I try to stop them from, you know, a lot of people just use one method again and again. I'm going to run the rim. I'm going to, you know, shoot threes or whatever. I'm going to just use screens. I'm going to run the same plays again and again. These guys, you know, you'll get to a point where you figure it out. But with the shot clock, the more you use it, the more variety you have. You know, so again, if someone's kind of adapting to me, I got to make sure that I'm ready to kind of take the time I need to see that they're adapting to me and then choose a different path, right? So say I've had, you know, 3 shots in a row go in from 3 and I suddenly see my opponent sort of closing that down. I will use the entire shot clock if I have to find a different way through and to find a way to stop that opponent. Patience is just key. And also, you know, you're kind of running the score up by scoring so quickly, right? The longer you have in possession, if you're winning a game comfortably, you know, 10, 15 points up, just using that shot clock just slows the game down, right? So you're giving your opponent less time to come back. So again, like there's been times where I've been up by 15 at like going into the last quarter and I'm sprinting down the court trying to get a bucket within 6 seconds. I'm literally just giving my opponent multiple possessions that they wouldn't have had if I used the shot clock to get back into the game. Now guys, that's everything, but this stuff really changed everything for me. Like I said, I've got a series on how an average player goes 12-0. Go check that out because it's super important. Then there's sort of tips and tricks in there that you can use. It breaks down defense, offense, lineups, how to get favorable matchups, all of that different stuff. But it was these 5 things that just set me on that path. You know, every time I go on a bad run, like I've lost a couple of games in the last week and, you know, fair losses, you know, no algo, no, none of that. I just lost. You know, I'm not the best player at this game. But every time I lose a game, I go and look at those 5 things and I look at the thing that I did wrong. And it's always one of those things. Like the most common thing that I do is I continue to rush things. I don't change up the defense when it's not working. Like if I lose a game convincingly, like it's always one of those 5 things. So like I said, if you want to catch all of this stuff, like I've covered most of this in videos, go and catch that 12-0 series. Like I said, I covered all of it, but you'll see me using rotations. You know, I didn't even use them before. I would just try and sort of defend the player on ball all the time. And I just get absolutely roasted in some games. You know, corner threes has made me more confident in shooting. It's made me more confident in shooting, you know, anywhere away from the corner as well because I'm getting used to their releases and things like that. You know, timeouts have just made the game less stressful because I'm having time to think and I'm having time to adapt. And, you know, especially if I'm going on a bad run, it helps. You know, switching up defense again, it makes my opponent's life more difficult and that's always a good thing. And just being patient and looking for better shots and good opportunities. You know, I've come back in some games where I thought I was definitely going to lose and I've come back to win because of this advice. The final thing I'm going to talk about is actually just a bit of advice from me, which I haven't given out on any of my other videos. My psychology has changed completely this season. Now, I told you last season I didn't go 12-0, and I did try to. I had a couple of attempts at the Galaxy Opal tier, but I didn't get there. Next season, there's no guarantee I'm going to do it either. I'm at a point now where I just don't care, and it's making me a better player. Honestly, it's making me a better player. There's a lot of pressure when you're a YouTuber, especially when you're releasing videos on how to go 12-0 to do it yourself. But I'm also very clear about the fact that I am an average player, so it's important I don't put a huge amount of stock into winning unlimited games. Like, if I lose, that's fine. And I think having that mentality will just make you a better player. I think that's the other sort of mental shift or psychological shift I've had over the last 9 months, which I think I get better and better at, you know, constantly as time goes by, which is just caring less and loading into a game for fun. You know, I went 68 and 11 to get Iggy, and, you know, since then, you know, I've gone like 50 and 8. No, not 50 and 8. What am I talking about? 50 and 5. Like, my record has been better since I got Iggy, and that taught me something about my approach to this game. Like, the calmer you are, the more relaxed you are, the more likely you are to do those 5 things and all the other stuff that I've covered in my videos successfully. If you're stressed, if you're on the edge of your seat, if you're stressing out, as soon as the loading screen comes up and you see your opponent's team, you just don't know anything. Like, we've had games on this, you know, in the last week or two, where we've run an 85 overall and beaten like 96 overall God squads. And the reason for that happening is not because I'm good at the game. It's because I'm thinking about things like the 5 things I've covered in this video. And I don't care if I lose. You know, the guy who's got the 96 overall, the pressure's on him, not on me, right? So he's the one who's got to win that game if he's, you know, spent $1,000 on his team. I don't have to win that game. So I just wanted to share this stuff with you because I feel like I'm holding on to a bit of a secret here. And you know, shout out to Notorious God. He is in our Facebook group as well. So like I said, join the Facebook group. He's quite active on my Twitter as well. So join us on Twitter and follow him as well. He's just a great guy to speak to about this game. And he made me so much better at it. Like I said, 20%, you know, to 80% in the space of 9 months from a standing start, having never really played the game before, to going 12-0. That's what that advice did for me. So I really hope it helps you guys. As I said at the start of the video, we are a new channel and, you know, the subs are really good. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate all of this stuff. I appreciate it so much. Every day I wake up and there's new subs on the channel. You know, keep it going. We want to get to 500 as soon as we can and do that giveaway. Thank you for all your support. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, thanks for watching, guys.